somebody else start picking my picks?
Just go against Kurt. Try telling you. Try telling everybody.
As I pay attention to all these sports over the weekend, knowing that I picked this or picked that, it's kind of disheartening how awful I am at picking games. This is why I don't gamble. I would be so poor from gambling. They have to put me in the decrepit gambling home.
What do we use? The poorhouse. Back to the poorhouse. Remember when that existed? There was a great game. It was opposite of Monopoly called Going for Broke.
Going for Broke,
And the game was like, the object of the game was try to lose all your money. It's kind of like Brewster's Millions. Bring that game
Kind
back.
of how I live my life.
Yeah. You'd have been great at that game, Kurt. Not if you would have been. If Kurt would play his college picks, if you would go against Kurt in the NFL, and if the listeners would listen to us, everyone would be rich.
Everybody be a winner. That's right.
Kurt, once again, in this edition of Who We Had from Friday's Who You Got, was just incredible with his college picks and horrible with his NFL selections. And listening back to the segment from Friday this morning, it was just some things Kurt just totally nailed. And it was odd to hear him say. I'll tell you one thing both you guys got wrong. Oh, no one goes to West Side Athletic Complex and walks out there with a blowout win. Not at the West Side. I'm talking about WestCon taking care of UMass Dart. As I told you fellas on Friday, they're about ready to shock the Mezcac world. And that they did. 50-plus points over UMass Dartmouth. Get out of here, UMass Dart. Not worthy. Not worthy at all. And I was the only one bold enough to pick them.
I'm not going to lie. I actually thought you were just making that whole game up and that they didn't actually exist. I've never heard
on that. There's no way there's a team called UMass Dartmouth. By the way, this is how it ended. Jalen Aponte with a 10-yard scoring pass to Aviles to Sanchez late. And they had 2 touchdowns in the final quarter to beat them.
Smoked them in the last part of that game.
Good for WestCon. I'm sorry I went against you. I won't ever do that again.
Going with the Corsairs of UMass Dart. I did learn the Corsairs mascot over the weekend as well. Arnie. It's like 5 A's and then R-N-I-E. Arnie.
But aren't they pirates?
They are, so I looked this up as well. The Corsairs.
It's some kind of pirate.
They're these pirates in southern Mediterranean in the 16th to 18th century.
Of course there's...
UMass Dartmouth, they just can't be the pirates,
You just can't be the pirates.
We've got to be as fancy as possible out there in the we're Mediterranean pirates.
You
don't know what a Corsair is?
You're white-collar pirates. They're white-collar pirates.
I'll tell you what they're not. Winners on Saturday. Get out of here, UMass Dart.
I picked UMass.
Never come back. WestCon. About ready to take the Mezcac.
All right, so there's an L.
There's an L for you on that one. UConn, Utah State. We did this one straight up. Kurt was the only bold enough picker on this one. Or should I say Curtis Leitner picking against UConn again. And Kurt was right. That game was close. It could have went either way. Dibs and I went with UConn and Coach Moore and them boys. And Kurt went with the Aggies.
I went with
Utah State.
UConn?
Yeah, you did.
I went with Utah State.
Next game on the docket, Dibs dumped them points
And lost.
Not a believer against Colorado. USC was giving up 21 points. Now, Dibs, you were all over this pick in the first half.
Watch this game, 48-41. I'm glad I lost this pick with the points, but what a game in the second half by Shedeur.
Just going to say that.
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders is for real, y'all.
Yeah.
He is for real.
Yeah, he's had to figure out other options because of Travis Hunter's injury, but he figured it out against what was supposed to be a fantastic team.
Caleb Williams and their offense looked really good in the first half as well.
They did.
I thought the second half adjustments the Colorado defense made, especially switching up their coverage, that was the turn of that tide, and a very good game.
I think when you make a team like the Trojans nervous after what Oregon did to them, they probably thought, we're going to do the same thing Oregon just did to them. Making them nervous in the second half, I thought was awesome.
I was with you on this pick, too. I feel bad about it. I dumped them points, and Kurt was the only one that was a believer in Deion Sanders' boys this year, or this week. Yeah, you nailed it, Kurt.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
Once again. Notre Dame at Duke. Boys, it's official. The tide has turned when we all agree. We all thought the Irish were going to take care of business down south in Durham, and that they did. Notre Dame, the big win over Duke as they avenged that loss against Ohio State. We were all right on that. Kurt was also right.
It was a close game. Wasn't pretty. Like Mike Golick said, wasn't pretty, but they were victorious.
And Kurt, now that made you 3-0 in Division I football
That's
picks
shocking.
on the week. Couple that with the last 2 weeks, I think you're 8-0. Pretty sure you're 8-0 on your college football picks. That's
By the
not
way-
included locally with your WestCon
Right.
debauchery.
Yeah.
The Duke quarterback was injured.
Riley Leonard.
Yeah,
Well, he
Riley
started
Leonard,
the game.
high ankle sprain.
Yeah. That's going to be a deal down there in Durham. It's how much the football tides can change, Dibs.
Will maybe be back by the end of the month, end of October.
In the NFL, I love Kurt's synopsis on this before he made the pick. Kurt said, and this is just how your NFL picks go. Whenever Kurt actually puts some thought into it, that's when it goes awry. He had said, Denver, Chicago, you should make felons watch this as punishment. I don't care. Give me the Broncos. Kurt nailed it. Dibs, unfortunately, you're on the other side. You're the only one who went with the Bears. I don't blame you.
0-4. Bears have now lost 14 straight. They're on a good streak.
Again, you should have been playing the first halves. You would have been really good at the first halves this
First
weekend.
30 minutes.
First 30 minutes, you had that one nailed. Unfortunately, at the end of the game, went Broncos' way, and it was Kurt and I who were successful in that pick. I don't know why you guys went against my Bills. Kurt was thinking about this one, and he crunched all the numbers, and he picked Miami. Dibs, you went along with them, and I know you felt bad about it as soon as you did. I went with the I went with the family and went with Buffalo, and 48-20 later, Bills look like they're the best in the AFC East.
Yep.
We all went Dallas. It's official. The tide has turned when we all agree. Now we are 4-2-1 on the season. Yeah. Gonna have to change our tune telling people to go against us from now on.
Go with us.
If we all agree. I thought that was the easiest pick of the weekend. Easiest pick of the weekend. I thought that Dallas's offense may have struggled.
I don't think
but
they're as good as they were against the Giants. I also don't think they were as bad as they were against the Cardinals. So they're somewhere in between, and that team showed up yesterday.
they score on defense. They have a bunch of
They
interceptions.
scored twice on defense.
Did they score twice
They
on
picked up a
defense?
fumble, and they got a pick six.
Trayvon Diggs. No Trayvon Diggs, no problem.
I don't want to say no problem.
No problem?
He's a hell of a player, but
Look good. Then Dibs dumped the 9. We actually put the 9 on this because we said we got to put the points. We can't just pick Jets, Kansas City straight up. We'll all pick Kansas City. And if that was the case, we'd all be right once again. We'd be 5-2-1. However, threw the 9 points at this one at the end of the segment just to make it interesting. Dibs said, you can give them 20 points. I still ain't
I think
picking
I
the
said
Jets.
30. What is it, 30?
Kurt, out of nowhere, Kurt says, I think Taylor Swift is going to be a distraction. Huge distraction for this team. Give me them points. And I totally changed my tune when I heard that breakdown. I was like, you know what, Kurt? I think you're right. And I'll be damned if you aren't nail on the head right,
I
Kurt.
think you're 100% right.
Yeah.
So let's discuss. I
think it's happening.
I think it's
I can
happening.
see it.
I think that it's not a distraction of maybe Travis Kelce, but everybody else now. How about when they walked through the locker room last week? His entire team, they're like in awe of Taylor Swift.
It's weird. Yeah.
I like what Jason Kelce said, that it took Taylor Swift to up your stock. He was joking on their podcast, but I just think that as far as her bringing a whole new genre to the football world, that traveling circus is going to get old.
Have you ever, I don't know, it just brought me back to high school, man. It's just like when you're going out with the girl and like, wow, I can't believe Dibs, you're going out with that girl? She's 3 years older than you. She's a cheerleader. She's captain of the cheerleading team. And then like, things are going good. Well, we'll see what happens. And then you go out to pitch right in front of her and all her friends. It's just this added pressure that it never existed until this relationship started. And now everything you do, whether it's talking to somebody, whether it's how you react on a good play or a bad play, or even just how you look doing your thing. You never thought of it before. But now you've got the captain of the cheerleading team who's a senior and you're a sophomore and no one even understands why you guys are going out in the first place and everybody's talking about it. And all of a sudden it's like, is everybody thinking about baseball right now? Or are we thinking about my relationship with that girl over there? I just can feel it. I can see it with Travis Kelce. I think he's running his routes with her in the mind. I think every ball that came his way. Remember that little play at the beginning of the second quarter where Travis Kelce runs the wrong route to Patrick Mahomes? He almost threw an interception, and Tirico and Collinsworth, that never happens. Usually they're on the same page with everything. I just think there's some kind of thing out there, a Taylor Swift thing out there that is overtaking the mindset of this offense, and I don't like it. I think they're distracted, Dibs.
Well, it's when you start reading your own press clippings and start thinking, oh, we're the Super Bowl champs. Now we're dating Taylor Swift. And, the wife is hanging out with Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds' wife. And, now you got Hugh Jackman and the whole Deadpool cast is in the owner's box. I think it's a farce myself.
Well, I did see the lot of Taylor Swift commercials.
The romance is fine. If they want to date. But all the other garbage. She's got a movie coming out.
Kind of a
movie. He's on every commercial now.
And he has a movie in Prime, yeah.
But everybody that's showing up, Ryan Reynolds has a Wrexham project coming out. Deadpool coming. Stop. Just stop. I like my football. I don't need other crap. I don't need it in the broadcast. Aaron Andrews, I still think, should be fired for the crap last week. Oh, did you add pressure with Taylor Swift? Shut the F up. I mean, how stupid a question after the game to Patrick Mahomes. First of all, don't disrespect Patrick Mahomes. Best quarterback in the NFL. Does things that I've never seen another quarterback do. And so you're going to belittle him because of Taylor Swift in the house? I mean, it's not like the Queen of England was there. It's not like the president was there. It's Taylor Swift.
Than both of those people.
She is better than both of those
Queen
people.
Of England and
she made the most money ever on tour. I'm not saying that.
Everyone loves her.
But what's distracted is the stupid media. They're enamored with it because, oh my God, this is so much bigger than the NFL. No, it's not. The NFL is still king.
I think Travis Kelce's running the wrong routes because he's thinking about his cheerleading girlfriend. It's affecting him.
I hope it affects them. I hope they get their butts trashed the rest of the season.
Speaking of sideshows, did you watch that Toy Story stuff from London?
Toy Story was great.
It was awesome.
I was incorrect. Toy Story stuff was great.
It's so cool.
I loved it. I got up just to watch it, and I thought it was well done. So it wasn't as corny or quirky as I thought it was going to be. And the Big City Green stuff was good, too, last year.
Yeah.
I mean, the hockey. So
it's cool how they do that.
Honestly, the animation and the technology and stuff. And I agree. Listen, because the kids on my baseball team were all watching it. And most of them are football players as well. So they always want to play the video games. They only MLB The Show and stuff like that. So they could see themselves being in Toy Story as football players. They would have loved it.
I thought it was hilarious. Because they're not like... Their heads are huge.
I know.
Like they're like big heads. They're like bobbleheads out there.
In the early 90s, mid 90s, some of the video games came out and you could play big-headed football players. You could play
NFL Blitz.
Exactly.
Big heads.
And so you get out. There was also another one that was like the NFL Neighborhood or something like that, where you turned into like a huge monster, and when you were playing and stuff like that.
NFL Street.
NFL Street. So you know all these. I love those games more than just the normal Madden.
So true.
Because some of it was 7-on-7. Some of the games were on rooftops and things like that. I was like, that's ingenious that you've taken it to another level, and that maximizes my video game enjoyment by bringing in other elements.
I am wondering how it all got put together and like why this particular game. And you brought up London and how like they don't care, and I was like, well, they're not going to see it. But the one thing I was missing is like we never actually saw. And was there an alternative broadcast where you didn't get Toy Story? I don't know. I only saw the Toy Story broadcast.
Yeah.
Where I was like, well, we're kind of like not even giving a crap about the London audience at all, like the in-game audience. And was it something where Goodell's like, listen, Jacksonville, Atlanta, nobody wants to watch that. And nobody's caring about the London people in the crowd. Kill two birds with one stone, make a Toy Story game.
I personally don't care about the London people in the crowd.
I don't think.
I mean, the only way I would think it was funny is if you had the announcers with a fake English accent.
I always wondered that as
English
well.
or English broadcasters like like when Brad Pitt does Snatch, and you can't even understand him because he's supposed to have this gypsy lingo that I thought it was fantastic. I don't need to understand him, and he still enamors my wife. But I thought it was well played. I love listening to, like I said, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Cake and all these other. I love English actors. I always have. It just reminds me of like James Bond type stuff. So there's kind of like this gentlemanly Queen's English kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That would have been funny had the whole football game been done in an English accent.
There's still time for that. Maybe next week.
Maybe
In
next
London
week.
again. London once
Get
again.
some of their soccer guys. ESPN's got all those soccer guys that I can't understand the hell. Some are Irish, some are English. I'm like, what did that guy just say?
Honestly, I try to turn everybody into Spanish-speaking NFL radio fans.
I love that.
Dude, Guillermo and Jaime.
Portes and all that stuff.
My friends Guillermo and Jaime that used to do it or they still do it for the Carolina Panthers. I'm telling you, if you go down to Charlotte, 50% of the bars, even if they're completely English speaking, will want Guillermo and Jaime's call because they are just so enthusiastic. And you've heard soccer getting called by Spanish speakers. Like, it is just a different kind of flavor. And I love the flavor in the NFL because there's a goal on every play. Like, they treat every sack, fumble, tackle like, and totally raises the bar as far as the demographic that is tuning in to the NFL. By the way, Tennessee Volunteers, I saw this week against South Carolina, kicked the crap out of the Gamecocks. They had their first ever student all Spanish broadcast for the Tennessee Volunteer football team.
Reminds me of Jaime Herrera. I was very friendly with him. He was the Spanish Dodger broadcaster. He was the Vince Scully on the Spanish side. Fabulous to us players. He would translate and do a Spanish interview. And, I went to Puerto Rico 3 different times and would go on many, interviews and being somebody speaking English, translating it back to Spanish. I'm fascinated. I thought it was amazing. I love listening. I love watching like Univision and all the stuff. I try to figure out Spanish. I still can't speak it, but
Somebody, gosh, I just had this. I've been working on schedules for this week because I know we got baseball craziness coming up. The Bears in Buffalo? No, that's Thursday.
oh my God, what a kill.
Jaguars are going back? Are they just staying there? Jaguars in Buffalo
Again?
next week. Yeah, 8:30 in the morning this time. No, 9:30 still. Sorry, read that wrong. It's in Tottenham Stadium in London. Jacksonville taking on the Bills. So I'm sure the Jags are just sticking around, hanging out for 2 weeks.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and talk about some MLB postseason
That's
matchups.
right.
Postseason starts tomorrow,
Starts
people.
tomorrow.
We'll be right back.